You played yourself and you played me this time, but you played yourself as well this time. Leaving this book on your shelf for so long. just like you did. We've never split the difference. But this time you hold it back for yourself as well. You played yourself.
The battle inside us is between two wolves.
I knew he was going to say this bit.
One is fear, the other is faith. Which wolf wins?
If you're only trying to work on the days that you feel like working, you're not going to work that many days. And we're talking about being productive here, trying to achieve something.
Nobody who ever gave their best regretted it. Fact. I got to say this for the people in the back. This is one. Nobody who ever gave their best regretted it. Welcome back to another episode of Book Reviews with Ty and Fly. I go by Ty.
I go by Mr. Fly, 2 Fs.
Mr. Fly 2 Fs. Now, this is actually the first book review we have on this new channel. We've got a whole playlist on Entrepreneur Club Global, but we have decided to make this a separate book review channel to make it specific for you. And this month, we are reading The One Thing. And this is my pick this month. And for those that are unfamiliar with the channel, we pick a book each month and we review it at the end of the month. And the book is released, the review is released on the first Friday of every month. And the reason I picked this book, it was actually a gift for me for my birthday. And people know that I read, so I actually get books as part of birthday and Christmas presents. And this was sat on my shelf. And I actually saw another YouTuber mention this book in their video. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. It helped them with something. So I thought, yeah, cool. It's on my shelf. Let me pick that as next month's book. So we're here. The One Thing. Mr. Fly, kick us off, man. Let's start.
Yeah. I just want to say, Tyler, you've done it again. Go on. You played yourself and you played me this time, but you played yourself as well this time. Leaving this book on your shelf for so long. just like you did. We've never split the difference. But this time you hold it back for yourself as well. You played yourself. How long was this on the shelf?
Since April. So what's that from now? Like 4-5 months?
Yeah. That's 2 or maybe even 3 book reviews that we could have done this 2 book reviews ago.
2 of my picks,
It's a good thing that it's the first one on this new channel. So big up on that one. But no, the book, I was skeptical.
Okay.
The first, because I actually read before the first chapter, there's a little, I forget what it's called. But there's a part before the first chapter. And I was like, it just sounds a bit like airy fairy. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, to me anyway, it just sounded a bit airy fairy. I was like, this is just going to be like, this concept, I don't like the concept. It just sounds silly. It sounds like something that you can't action in real life. Like, it sounds good in theory, but in reality, it can't really work. But that was the assumption I made before I started reading the book.
Okay.
Then I obviously got into the first chapter, and boy, it hit me, man. It was good. There was a part, it's not even in the book. There's a part in the first, I think it's one of the illustrations in the book, and it says, if you chase 2 rabbits at the same time, you won't catch either.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I said, I like that, man. I get that. Do you know what I mean? It makes perfect sense. Do you know what I'm saying? It makes perfect sense, like focus, prioritizing things. And then, yeah, man. And then I just liked it. One of the things I did like about it that I had in the first chapter, the one thing, was when you go small, or going small brings about extraordinary results are directly determined by how narrow you can make your focus. And me personally, that's kind of something I agree with, because when I've Fit for Life Youth, do you know what I mean? Like, that's my priority. That's what I do. Yeah. That's what I wake up. When I wake up in the morning, that's what I think about. When I go to bed, that's what I think about during the day. And we've had good results. Like we're doing well. Versus in the past with other experiences I've had, or thing where I've kind of been split between, I'm still working a job plus this, plus your personal life and social life, X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So that just talked to me, and then that was like, okay, you've got my attention now.
Yeah.
Let me see what you got, man. What was your thoughts?
Well, I warmed into this book actually. The first few chapters, I guess it challenged me slightly because I've got my business, but I also run this YouTube channel. Run Entrepreneur Club Global YouTube channel, and I said a quick plug, and it just made me think, I'm not focusing on one thing. I'm focusing on different paths. So it kind of challenged me initially, but I think the purpose of the book is not necessarily just do one thing. It's have one goal, have one aim, and just work towards that. So the start of the book, it was a slow start for me. There were a few nice quotes, but I think the challenging me in that aspect just made me think, actually, am I doing the right thing by running YouTube as well as my business? But actually, it's what I enjoy. So if I was specifically just focusing on my business, then would I enjoy it as much? Who knows? $1 million question. But I did like a lot of the things in this book, and as I said, it warmed on me as I went through the book. I felt like it just got better and better and better. And one of the quotes just early on: "Be like a postage stamp. Stick to one thing until you get there." And there were lots of little quotes as we go through the book.
Yeah.
But one of the things that he talk about as well is 6 different lies that we tell ourselves. And there were different lies that we tell ourselves that we think is going to make us successful or happy or whatever, but they're not necessarily true. Go on.
No, I think they're lies that we tell ourselves, but then that we're also told, if you know what I mean. And when I say told, not like it's society. Just society and culture and stuff like that. So it's like I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it at the moment. But it's like multitasking, for example, I've just found it. Here we are. So let's go through the lies first. So 6 lies about success. That's what it is. It's 6 lies about success. I didn't actually agree. I mean, some of them I agreed with, yes, 100%. Some of them I'm like, okay, I can see your perspective. The thing I did like about the book is that it's quite logical. Yeah. So it follows a logical path of like a thought path, and the way it's kind of written is in a logical way, which appealed to me. But it was like everything. So these are the 6 lies. Everything matters equally. Multitasking, a disciplined life, willpower is always on will call, a balanced life, and big is bad. So those are like the headlines of the 6 lies that Tyler was talking about, or that you were talking about, sorry. So it's like the one that got me was about willpower. No, not willpower, sorry, about multitasking. And it was like, that is something that, I think I've actually spoke about multitasking before on a previous video. And it's something that some people pride themselves on, like, well, you'll hear like, oh, men can't multitask, women can multitask. That's kind of like that's one of these lies that we're told. Like, I mean, it's just, I don't know if you've heard that before, but I've heard people say that, like, oh, men are bad at multitasking, X, Y, Z. So we just kind of accept it as it's true. And the same thing as that multitasking is a good thing, we again accept that as it's a truth. Do you know what I mean? It's like, where did that come from? Then in the book, it breaks it down to, I think it was the 80s or something like that. Where it talks about multitasking. It came up, in the 60s. And it was actually what was referred to about computers. Yes. So computers actually multitask. That's what they do. They can do multiple things at one time. I don't know a lot about computers, but they can share, they can do different tasks at one time. Then that this was a way that employers, I think they turned it around to get to make their employees do more. Yeah. I think that's where it actually came from, where employers will say, well, a good employee will be able to multitask. But realistically, how productive is it, for one, and how realistic is it, for two? So it says here, so multitasking is a lie. Like, that's how it started. I believe it. Put an exclamation mark on that. So I mean, so even me personally, I know that if I'm able to focus on one thing versus me trying to do literally 10 things at once, that I'll either get, if I'm doing one thing, I'll get 8 to 10 out of 10. If I'm doing 10 things, I'll get about a 4 or a 3 out of 10 on each thing. So you're not doing anything wrong. You see what I mean? And as well, like, especially now with all the distractions that we have in a workplace, people are multitasking within their job. Then they're also multitasking their phone, WhatsApp quickly, while they're quickly replying to an email, while they're quickly about to send an email about this, while they're quickly doing 10 of that. How is that productive? That sounds like pandemonium. Yeah, and there were some nice quotes. There was a quote: multitasking is merely the opportunity to screw up more than one thing at a time.
And I thought, yeah, actually, because sometimes I multitask, but by accident. I might be doing something, then an email comes in, so then I go and reply to the email, or do you know what I mean? A message comes in, a call comes in, and actually we'll probably come on to it, but it talks about, you know, time blocking, etc. But we'll come on to that. And the key thing about multitasking that stuck with me was actually we don't actually multitask. What we do is we switch between tasks. So we don't do things at the same time. We actually just, okay, we're doing this now. We're doing that now. We're doing that now. So it's not actually multitasking. We're just switching between different tasks in different periods. So I think the term, going back to the 60s or whatever, the term has been twisted to make us think we can do lots of things at the same time. But actually, we switch between two tasks. And actually, to point out, it talks about like how the brain can do like an automatic task. So like driving, for example. If you're, you know, someone that used to drive, you can talk while driving. For example, I
think it's when you get more comfortable, because obviously I know when I first started driving, very rigid, very stiff, you know, music down, you know, like little things, you just have to really concentrate. And then as you get more comfortable and become, and you know, you get better at it, you can now drive and have a conversation. Whatnot, you know. An interesting fact about what it said about multitasking is that researchers estimate that, so a study was done and they found that an average of 28% of the work day is wasted or lost due to multitasking, which is quite interesting. So yeah, but multitasking is a lie. I agree with that.
Well, there were other principles. What was it? Other lies that they talk about, or, you know, lies. Everything matters equally, and I like this one because everything doesn't matter equally. So he talks about to-do lists and you know, just creating to-do lists, and how we put it in a list and we think, yeah, getting all of these tasks off matters equally. But in reality, on that list, there are probably 3 things that are the priority, or I mean, it could be more, it could be less, but there are things that are priority over the other things. And lists can sometimes fool us to make us think, we've been really productive because we've ticked off 8 things out of our 10, but really the 2 most important things aren't ticked off. And it talks about the Pareto principle, which was in another book. I can't remember.
It's an old. It's been spoke about. It was not the last book, the book before, but
we've been over the Pareto principle, but it's essentially the 80-20 rule. But a minority of efforts or inputs often leads to the majority of results. And I actually wanted to give an example from my business when I came to this, because, you know, I get work through lots of different ways. In my business, chair massage, let's use chair massage for an example. Sometimes I go out grafting, going to different office buildings, talking to people, calling companies, etc. And occasionally it just comes through the smallest of effort. For example, I went to a location in London to make some filming. I went into one office just to reintroduce myself. I had previously done some work with them before, pre-pandemic, and they emailed me the next week, booked a whole week's worth of chair massage work, and boom, we winning. but it was such little effort for me to get that work, whereas I put in so much effort in other areas that maybe sometimes it doesn't lead to work, if that makes sense. So yeah, I like the Pareto principle, and just to go off the back of that, because it talks about compounding. We've spoken about compounding with money in the what book was it? The Psychology of Money. I believe it was. But compounding is essentially how little things over time build up. So for example, say you put £2 down now, that eventually in an investment bank, that will turn to £4, then it doubles again to £8, then it doubles again to 16, etc., etc. But that actually happens within business. So small efforts within business or
Yeah.
small daily habits
Yeah.
can compound over time. For example, if I'm putting out one YouTube video a week, every week, building up, eventually it will get to a point where it sort of doubles in viewership. And I really like that when it came to talking about business.
Yeah. No, I think even sticking with the Fraser principle, and again relating it to the one thing what he speaks about is that you drill down, so you get that 80-20. So you find that 80% of your work is essentially not bringing you the majority of your results. 20% of your work is bringing you the majority of your results. But again, you have to So once you find that 20%, you now drill down and get the 20% of that 20%. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then again, once you get, I know it's a bit, and then once you keep drilling down, get the 20% of the 20%, the 20% of the 20%, and that's where you get the real. That's where really big results will start to come by. Anyway, that's how the principle works, and it's kind of something that's related to like in sales. Like if you do a lot of sales, you might make 80 calls in one day. Only 20 of those calls are gonna maybe come back, and then you drill down out of that 20. You call it the 20% of that 20, and then and then that's where you get your clientele from.
Yeah.
XYZ. But no, definitely, like, it shows that with the list, going back to the list, because I make a lot of lists, and even this had to make me, I had to reflect on, same way you was reflecting on yourself, I'm reflecting, I'm saying, okay, the lists I make, they were productive at a time, because obviously they've got me to where I am now. But I was like, okay, I need to find a more productive way now. I need to improve on this now, because it's not really working anymore. Like, before, I guess I had less to do. That's really what it was. I had less to do, so it was easy to have a list and just quickly go through that list. And then now it's like, I'll make a list, and then, like you said, you'll check off certain things, but at the end of the day, you still feel like, I haven't really done anything today. Like, I don't feel like I've done anything, like, really, that's kind of made a hit. But I've looked at my list and I've checked off these things, but some of them are irrelevant. So then now what he says in the book is he changes it from a to-do list to a success list. And then even my mum says something about this as well. She get it done list. My mum has a kind of phrase, like, she kind of uses as well, like, I'll get it done list or something like that, that she uses. So what that's made me do now personally is like compartmentalize my lists. So I've got this list regarding this specific list of what I'm doing for this, and then this is for this. Because before, as Tyler, obviously I use Google Keep, which is just something you can find on Google, which is about lists basically. And then I will have a long list of so many things to do all together. So I'll have a day and I'll just go through tick, 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 tick. But there's no weighting to anything on that list. So now what I've done is I've just broken it down. I've made a specific list for that, And in the last 2 weeks, I've been way more productive and I feel a lot better as well. Do you know what I mean? Because like, I'm actually getting things done. And again, I'm prioritizing, you know what, today, I'm just working on this today. The rest of them, they're just gonna have to hold back. So yeah, man, I agree with that. Yeah, success list is a good. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of logical things that make sense, that are workable, and just that you can do. If it's not even about being a business owner as such, how you get through your life, how you get through your day, whether you're studying, even with your health and fitness goals, your happiness goals, whatever you're trying to do. So yeah, man, I enjoyed that.
I think I'm actually going to look into Google Keep, because I use a diary. And I know you've been banging on about Google Keep for the longest time, but on a diary, I can't do the different sections. It's still all on one page. So I think, I'll still use it, because I like to have my diary. I don't know, it's just maybe more habit, but I think having the different sections, okay, this is for this part of the business, this is for that part of the business, etc. I think that's really good, because then you can focus on the one thing rather than, I've got to do this for me, for example, this for the business, this for the book reviews, this for an event. We're doing an event in a month or so. So do you know what I mean? Just having the different sections, I think, is a really, really useful thing. So yeah,
it was actually Entrepreneur Club that kind of was the first kind of separate list that I made. Because I was like, obviously we goal setting Entrepreneur Club, so I was like, let me just write my Entrepreneur Club goals down, like, on a separate list. and then it was just easy. I didn't have to go through the whole, because you get a bit of like, it's a bit like, you can get anxious by looking at 100 things to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
anyway, I don't want to go on about that too much.
yeah.
But yeah, then if I just the last one from this, which was talking about willpower.
Yes.
It's always on will call, and you know, I'm a very determined person, as are you. And when it comes to anything that I do, and I'm sure you can also relate to this, is like, yes, we can push ourselves and we pull ourselves, but sometimes you're just like, bro, I'm just tired, man.
Yeah.
I'm tired, blood. I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so we can't, and this is something, you know, and it kind of willpower, it kind of relates to motivation, really. I think if you're if you don't understand the concept of willpower, you'll definitely understand the concept of motivation. So it's like, you're not always going to feel motivated. Do you know what I mean? You're not, it's impossible. Motivation wears off. You've got to fill your cup back up again over time. So it's like, when you're just trying to rely on willpower or be feeling motivated, you're not going to really achieve much. Because if you only, again, if we use exercise as an example, if you only, like, all right, T, you just did your cycle, right?
Yeah.
For the Prince's Trust, right?
Yeah.
The face of it, yeah? The face that runs the place, yeah? The face, yeah? But it's like, if you only trained on the days you felt like training, how successful would your training have been?
Yeah, it's true. It wouldn't have, yeah. I mean, some days I trained because I had other people to meet to train with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had to get it done. I mean, the last training ride that I was cycling from West London to South London. For those that know the South Circular, you know that going southbound is hilly. There's some hills. There's some hills there. From where I live to where I was going, it was 18 miles as a training run. This event was 45 miles. But yeah, cycling there, the day I remember it, I was like, I can't be bothered to go. Like, I can't be bothered. But I knew I had to. Yeah. So it wasn't willpower that got me. It was commitment that got me. It was accountability.
That's what I'm saying. There you go. See it there? So that's where, like, you have to draw on other things, whether it's that accountability, whether it's the purpose I'm doing this for. Because if you're only trying to work on the days that you feel like working, you're not going to work that many days. And we're talking about being productive here, trying to achieve something. And this is something that I know when we used to train for boxing and fights and stuff, I used to be certain days I'm not on training, but I'll be like, you know what, the person I'm going to face, they might not train the day they don't feel like training. So if I do, I'm already ahead. I've already kind of achieved something. And then that's if they don't. And if they choose to, then I'm staying on par with them. Either way, you're not going to get in front of me. We're going to be either neck and neck, or I'm going to be ahead of you. So that's kind of how I approach other things as well. So yeah, man, like lots of good things, man. So willpower, it says here, willpower has a limited battery life. Yes. It's limited, but renewable. And that's the thing, it will come. Do you know what I mean? There's days when you don't feel like training, and there's days when you do feel like training. Yeah. But you have to train on, it doesn't matter, basically. You know what I'm saying?
I actually wanted to give a study that that the author spoke about in relation to willpower, and it was the researchers did a study. They asked two groups of people to memorize either a 2-digit number or a 7-digit number. So just think about that for a moment briefly. If you're asked to memorize a two-digit number, hopefully 12, it's easier to remember. If you're asked to remember a 7-digit number, I'm not going to give a 7-digit number, but say it was 725, whatever. It's a lot harder to memorize. You're really going to have to keep thinking, okay, remind yourself, keep going over it. What they did after they got them into the next room to repeat the number to them, but they offered them either a healthy snack or a sugary, unhealthy snack. Those who had the 7-digit number, the longer number, were more likely to have the unhealthy sugary snack because they had less willpower after going through that mental challenge of trying to memorize the number. They had less willpower to say no to the sugary snack and yes to the healthy snack. So yeah, things can, like you said, our willpower battery can run down. Just like after a long day, say you're eating healthy, after a long day at work, if you haven't pre-planned your meal, you might just be like, do you know what? I'm going to order a takeaway because I'm tired. Like, I've had a long day at work. I've used up all my energy. Even though I'm on a diet, I'm going to have a takeaway. Whereas if you've already had a pre-planned meal or someone had made the meal for you, you're going to eat that healthy meal. So it's about, like you said, drawing on other things to help with willpower. Yeah.
Can I just, because this was like, unless you had anything else about that chapter.
No, go on.
This was like the bit that hit. This book is the first book in a long time where I think my social media was popping off this book, because I was like, I have to share this. Like, I've got to put. At first, I was sending little bits of this book to like my friends, then my family. And I was like, nah, this needs to go on Insta. But and as well, people was hitting me up like, "Well, what book's that? Like, what book is that you're reading?" Do you know what I mean? But this is, if you're gonna take anything from this book, my opinion is the focusing question. So it says, do you remember that part? Chapter 10. So it's like and this is something that again, it all just kind of spoke my language. Do you know what I mean? It just spoke. So the quality of any answer is determined by the quality of the question.
Mm-hmm.
Ask the most powerful question possible, and the answer can be life altering. Do you know what I mean? So obviously, if you're asking the right questions, you get the right answers.
Yeah.
You know, I think that in I, Robot with Will Smith, there's a part where he has to ask the right questions in order to get the answers, right? I, Robot anyway. So I don't know why I went there, but it just kind of makes sense at the time. So the question that they asked, the focusing question is, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? So I'm going to ask that again. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? So the answer to that question is the answer. Once you find the answer to that question, that's the one thing you need to do. And then now going back to what you said earlier, T, it's like, yourself, because obviously you're saying before, does this book mean that I need to stop everything and just focus on this? It's like, no, you find that one thing, and then there's different subsidiaries of that come off that. Do you see what I mean? So it's not like, because really, if you live this by the rule that you think it is, it's like the only thing that matters is my business, not my family, not my friends, not my health, not my well-being, nothing. It's just it. But no, it's like, cool. If your business is your one thing, you need your family to be, you need your family, they play a role. You need your health, that plays a role. You need your friends, and then within that relationship, within that subsection, you then find the one thing. And then with that, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So anyway, the focusing question is important, and answer that question, and lead with that in any decision you're making.
Yeah, I thought that was powerful, man. And it also said, what's my one thing right now? Because, for example, your one thing today might not be the same as your one thing tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Overall, like I said, we've got our purpose, our aims, but our one thing, we drill it down. And I think that was an important part to mention. I also wanted to talk about where was it? Big is bad. We're told big. This is one of the lies that we're told. Thinking big is bad. And there was a question. There was an example we gave, which I really liked, man. And it goes, I was once asked if I thought thinking big was realistic. And he said he paused to reflect and said, do you know what your limits are? Boom, that hit me. Do you know what your limits are? The reply, no. No one knows their ultimate ceiling for achievement. So worrying about it is a waste of time. If you don't know your limits, why is thinking big out of the question? We don't know our limits. Think big, go beyond our, try and reach it. We don't know our limits. So, and it was, don't fear big, fear mediocrity, fear waste, fear the lack of living to the fullest. And
say that again. Say it again, please. Someone needs to hear it in the back. This is for you in the back.
This is for you in the back, yeah? This is for you in the back. Don't fear big, fear mediocrity, fear waste, fear the lack of living. I gotta redo that. Third time. Don't fear big, fear mediocrity, fear waste, fear the lack of not living to the fullest.
Exclamation point.
Yeah. And it also mentioned, growth mindset, because, if you don't think big, you might have a fixed mindset. You think you can't achieve more. You think what you know is what you know. You think life is this way. This is how it is. It talks about, Carol Dweck's Carol Dweck's growth mindset. So Carol Dweck is, I believe she's a psychologist. I think she coined the term growth mindset, but it's all about being open-minded, growing, always thinking, oh, I can learn more, I can improve, I can do better, rather than thinking, this is it, that's where we are. So yeah, man.
No, I think that's important, man, because you put yourself, you look at yourself and it's so easy, society or the world or your own fears put limitations on you. And then again, if you're just trying to get out of, like, just trying to get through it in the safest way, you've got to take some sort of risk or take some chances or just believe or bet on yourself. Do you know what I mean? Certain times. But everything around you tells you not to do. And even like the way your brain works will tell you, no, just be safe, just do the safe thing, stay small, be quiet. But you have to push forward, man. And I think that's important, man. That's important what you just said.
Yeah, 100%. Do you this is something that it talks about, visualization. I can't remember which point it is, but research showed that those who visualize so they did a study on like students getting exams and stuff, and research showed that those who visualized the process of getting A's rather than just visualizing the A were getting better results across the board. So they didn't visualize just, okay, I'm going to get A. They visualized, okay, the process of it. So they visualized studying for that A. They visualized doing their homework, which then led them to actually take action and do more studying and more homework, which then led them to get better results. So, do you visualize?
Yes or no? I mean, not in regards to obviously. When I was in school, I wish I did. Like, I would have must have got better grades. But I do and I don't. More in the sporting sense. So like, obviously, if I go back to boxing again, I definitely used to visualize with boxing. And I think, and even now, when I'm kind of coaching or working with younger people, especially in a sporting kind of sense, I will ask them I'll get them to visualize, but not in a structured way. Just I get them to think about it, because and in the sense of like, but about the different types of outcomes that will come. So whether it's a positive or if you use boxing as an example, I use myself as an example. So when I used to box before, I would think, okay, what happens if I get dropped?
Yeah. Like
I'll visualize getting dropped, and I'll be like, okay, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
So then I've kind of trained myself. So I've seen this before. So I'll take my time, and I'll get up and try and compose myself. That's kind of what So then if it happens, I'm not shocked about it.
Yeah.
And then and I got that from. Well, I used to do it before, but then I heard about Michael Phelps. I'm pretty sure I spoke about this before.
Yeah,
because I speak about it quite a lot.
I think we touched on it in Winners in the book Winners. But sorry, go on.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go into it too tough. But basically, what he did prior to what he does part of his training when he was training was visualize every kind of outcome. So then you're prepared for every type of outcome, both the positive and the negative. What I did find out somewhere is that if you visualize a successful outcome, part of your brain feels that you've already achieved it in your subconscious. So it's actually, it can be counterproductive, because then the level of motivation to achieve that goal is kind of hindered a little bit. But that's what I heard that on a podcast. I don't know if that's what they say, whether it's true or not, I couldn't tell you, but and it makes sense to me to some degree anyway. So hence why I kind of, and I get the young people I work with to kind of visualize, if you're boxing, like, think about what happens if you lose the round. Like, think about what happens if you get hurt. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Don't just think about, I'm going to go determine that Rocky and just going to knock him out and boom, boom, boom. Of course, you have to think positive, but you have to think of every outcome, because otherwise how you're more prepared for it, how you can prepare yourself for a negative. So what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't often sit down and visualize in a sporting context. Absolutely. I have done, and in fact I did it as a child, unknowingly. Actually in the mornings before I went to football, I used to watch, Match of the Day was on at 7 a.m. or something, something ridiculous. I used to wake up, watch Match of the Day, see Drogba scoring or whoever, just visualize, okay, that's going to be me today. And I only just thought of that now as as we're talking about it. But I do visualize from time to time about different things, but more kind of aspiration. So, for example, I deliver wellbeing talks. I talk to corporate companies, etc., for my business. But I've only done it on small scale. So in fact, the biggest talk I did was to students, which was about 100 students, to an event I went to a few weeks ago. But I've visualized in my head, I can already see myself on the big stage in front of like thousands of people. And I don't know, when it happens, I'll be like, wow, okay, yeah, like it's how. But from the start of my business, I visualized myself delivering talks. And at that moment, I wasn't delivering talks. So those visualizations have come to fruition, because obviously now I do it. So yeah, it's an interesting one. But yeah, I don't want to stick on this one. There's two things. Well, we'll see if we get time to touch on these two things. But time blocking, I briefly mentioned it earlier. That was a good section for me, and it made me think, I need to cut off all distractions when I've got one thing that I want to focus on. And the author talks about setting up 4 hours a day, in the start of the day, where you've got no distractions, where you can just focus on your one thing. So say you've got, for the day, you've got to write a book. You've got, and in fact, I think he actually talks about using the time blocking method to actually write the book, using 4 hours in the morning where your phone's in the other room, it's off or whatever. There's no other distractions around. You just got 4 hours to just get stuff done. And that helps productivity tenfold.
Yeah. No, the time blocking thing was like, and it made me look at it like, boy, like how much time do I actually put aside for what I'm trying to achieve, aside from being present, but actually just focused time, and then what that made me realize personally was like, okay, I'm doing a bit too much of working in the business and not enough of working on the business. So it doesn't allow me that time to time block effectively anyway, because 4 hours is a long time. You know what I'm saying? It's a long time. No, but again, you need to give it time. You can't just be like 45 minutes, an hour, 20 minutes. You're not gonna. You need to really think on this and deep it and really sit on that thought and again visualize, plan, do what you need to do. And the author speaks about how to do it and what the benefits of doing it and how you can actually do it. Like he says, put yourself in a bunker. If you erase, you must replace. So if, for example, things do happen in life. So you might time block every day between 10 and 1 o'clock or whatever. But something might happen. You might have to do something for your mum or for your friend or something so that you might lose an hour. So instead of just erasing that hour, you have to now replace the hour and put it back somewhere else. So cool, I was supposed to do from 10 till 1. I'm going to do from 10 till 12. But that extra hour, I'm going to do an extra hour tomorrow or X, Y, Z. And I think that's very powerful because, again, it brings that focus. So what I mean, even other little ways of building a bunker, just ways to not be distracted. If you like to drink coffee or whatever, bring your kettle into that room. Bring your snacks into that room because the moment you step out, especially if you're in an office space, oh, Chris, Tyler, quick, can I just grab? Do you know what I'm saying? So, and again, I think within that, and he doesn't really speak about this, but logically, effectively, would be to work some breaks into that 4 hours. So you can go out and just let off some steam and maybe make a phone call, check your phone, whatever you need to do, then get back to work. You have a structured time. I don't know. Are you still using your timer when you work?
Yeah. I mean, I do use it. I do use it. Not religiously, but I do actually use it when I'm like, okay, cool, I need to focus. I'll set it for like 50 minutes to just focus, and then. But at the same time, what my phone might get a call in that 50 minutes. You know what I mean? But yeah,
no, time blocking, I think definitely, and it's an easy way to do, and it's just a way to enhance your focus because you've got to think about the results you want at the end of the day. What are you trying to achieve? What's the point of all this? What's the point? Is it just to be busy? Is it just to be busy and just to say, oh, well, I do this, or are you really trying to do something, achieve something? Like, what's the point? And then again, you go back to that one thing, the focusing question. You ask that question, and then it'll say, well, I need to time block, or I need to just really put some time aside. Maybe you can't afford 4 hours. you know, at
Yeah.
present. Maybe you've got kids, or you're still working, you know.
Yeah.
But I know, like, in the past, this made me think about before, when I was working before Fit for Life Youth, I was thinking of setting up a business. I used to wake up early before I started work on the business plan for like 2 hours. I used to get to work for 9, so I was up like 5, work till 7, leave the house, then get ready and leave the house at 8 to get to work for 9. You see what I'm saying? So these are things that it's possible. Go to bed earlier, go to bed later, wake up earlier, do what you need to do. Do it on the weekends. There's enough time, man. You just got to find the time.
Yeah. And quote, the most successful people are the most productive, and nobody who ever gave their best regretted it. Fact. This, I gotta say this for the people in the back. This is one. Nobody who ever gave their best regretted it. There's no one ever who's given their all and regretted it. So yeah, man. The last thing, I mean, we've not been on everything. This was there were some quotes. I just looked at my notes and it's like, no, I have to give these quotes, man, because this one was like, this one will help someone. This has to help someone. The battle inside us is between two wolves.
I knew he was gonna say this bit.
One is fear, the other is faith. Which wolf wins? And I was like, okay, which wolf wins? It makes so much sense. The one you feed. The wolf you feed is the one that wins. If you feed the one that is faithful and believes and optimistic and positive, that one wins every time. But if you feed the one that feeds into the fear and sadness and anxiety, if you feed that one, then that's how you're going to feel. And this is not to dismiss anyone that's going through difficult times or anything, but a shift in mindset can help mental health so much. And that was a quote that, I love, man. I love that one.
That's big, man. I think, like I said, like, good choice. Good choice. But you should have read this one immediately.
Yeah.
But no, the book, like, there's we run out of time, but the one area that I thought you was going to speak about, because I know it's your favorite word, within the 3 commitments, was about accountability cycle.
Yeah.
You know, and it was interesting, you know, we speak about accountability all the time and about accountability partners. But there was a bit added on to that, which I was like, okay, wow, this is something new. So individuals that wrote their goals down were 39.5% more likely to achieve them. You know, we know about this already. Yeah. If you write your goals down, you're more likely to achieve those goals. You know, if you don't write it down, it's not a real thing, essentially. But something I didn't know about this, and the stat for this is really high. Individuals who wrote their goals down and then sent progress reports to friends were 76.7 times more likely to achieve them. So that's the next level. Do you see what I mean? So it's like, cool, write your goals down. That's good. That's good. Yeah. That's cute. But now you want to take it to the next level, get accountability partners and get feedback because, you know, a lot of times you'll do more for other people than you'll do for yourself. So if you kind of write it down and then you share that with someone, whoever that is in your life, and say, look, I'm going to do this. Cool. And I'm going to do this. And all right. And this week I've done that. And if they're your friends or if they care about you, they're going to be invested in what your goals are. So it just makes it more, I mean, try it out. Like, try it. Whatever your goals are, whatever it is, I'm going to learn a new language. I'm going to, whatever, I don't know. I'm going to learn to swim. Go to the gym. I'm going to be healthier, whatever it might be. You know, that accountability, that pressure is a good pressure. Do you know what I mean? It's a good pressure to have.
76.7% more likely. The numbers don't lie. What they say?
Crazy.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. 76.7% more likely to achieve your goals if you have an accountability partner. And actually on Entrepreneur Club Global, I've got a video on accountability, on using accountability partners, 4 layers. I'll leave that link in the description box for you to check out because it will help you stay accountable. And I'm glad you touched on that because you know, it's my favorite word, man. It helps.
You know what,
Go on.
But when I was reading that, I was laughing in my head. I was like, Tyler gonna love this part. Like, this is Tyler's favorite part of the book.
Yeah, because it just reinforces what I already know works for me.
Yeah.
And in fact, I say what already know works for me. It works for everyone around me. Everyone I know that I've put onto accountability and helped them keep accountable. It's like they're way more productive. Yeah. Now there was a couple other quotes that I wanted to touch on before we go on to our difficulty rating and our star rating. But it talks about four thieves.
Yeah.
Oh man, this book's got a lot, bro. This book's got
Yeah.
this is a good read, man.
Yeah.
The link's in the description for anyone that wants to buy it, because this is a good read. But the inability to say no was the first thief, and it said, I don't know the key to success, but the key to failure is trying to please everyone. Ooh. That one was like raw. You can't say yes to everything. And me, you know, I think I'm somewhat of a people pleaser. I think even yourself, you like, you know, we like to help others. We like to please others, you know, in a lot of ways. And sometimes we just got to say no, because you know our cup might be full. And this was a good reminder. Actually, you can't please everyone. Say no, man, from time to time. I don't know if how did that make you feel, that section?
No, definitely, bro. Like, definitely. I mean, it made me think about you and myself. And I was thinking, now, you know what, Tyler, definitely, I feel like you've got a better balance of it than me, personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it spoke about, because what that ability to say no does is it then narrows your focus again. We're going back to the focusing question, to the one thing, you know, because if you're trying to do 100 things, you're not going to do well. Like, even what you're giving to someone isn't going to be the best. And when they want you there, or when they want your help, or when they ask you to do something, they want the best version of you. They don't want that one that just, I'm so tired, I haven't slept, man. But you're then no good. You know, you're no good in that sense. So you're actually better to say, you know what, I can't actually help at this time. Like you said, my cup's full, I don't have enough time. Then it gave an example of Steve Jobs when he came back to Apple. And again, we go back to that focus. They went from 350 products down to 10. Look at Apple now. Look where Apple were when he's passed away now, but when he took over versus where they are now, market leaders and innovation, all that kind of stuff. So the point is just saying, you know what, I'm taking all this stuff away, I'm just focusing it down on this one thing. But yeah, no, I agree with that. No, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, man. Look, time's run out. My time has gone. Yeah, there's other things that I wanted to touch on. We're not going to
read the book,
read
man.
The book.
Just listen, read the book. You know, it's funny, yeah. Off the back of like my brother messaged me saying, "Oh, my friend," he's like, "Yeah, my friend bought the book." Then I texted him back. I was like, "Did they buy it from Tyler's link?" And he never responded. He goes, "I don't know. I'm gonna find out." So they better.
No,
so
I
buy
doubt
the book
it.
and use the link. Use the link.
Yeah, the link in the description. Help support the channel. It's only a small affiliate link. I think if the book, maybe it will be like 20p or 15p or
support the thing.
It all adds up, innit? Support the thing. Those little things, every little helps, you know, cost of living crisis and all of that. It all adds up. Right. Difficulty rating. How I think you're first. Let's go with you first. How difficult did you find this book on a scale of 0 to 5? How difficult?
The book was not difficult at all. You know, one thing with this book, the illustrations and the diagrams were really good. Like normally in books, I just pass them, and like, but these were amazing. We didn't even speak about domino effect, but the thing for the dominoes was really good. Difficulty rating, like 1.
Yeah, cool. And for me, difficult rating, I'll probably go 1.5. Only reason I felt I mean, it wasn't hard read. It wasn't a hard read at all. But I think why slightly higher is because some of the chapters were a bit different. Well, they were different in length. You had some chapters that were quite long, some chapters that were quite short. So it's like some chapters I'll breeze through and be like, oh, this was a really easy chapter. And then the next one, it might be like, oh, okay, this is quite a lot. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't hard for us. I think, I mean, we've been reading consistently for nearly 2 years now. And yeah, it wasn't hard. All right, star rating. How good was this book from a scale of 1 to 5? 0, nothing. 5, you know, fantastic.
Yeah. All right, I'm giving this book a 4.9.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
4.9.
yeah, 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 yeah. The
4.9.
reason, yeah, I'm looking. I think I've given 2 books 5s. That was Goggins, and obviously the book last, and those touched me on a different level. Especially David Goggins, like Can't Hurt Me. That was like a spiritual thing reading that book, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the systems, the E-Myth theory was like, because that's been in my life. So that book's actually, it can't 4.9.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 4.9, because it's there, but it's just not there, not
Yeah,
yet.
yeah,
If I
yeah,
come
yeah,
back and
yeah.
read it again, do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
4.9.
Wow. Okay. Wicked. For me, this was because like you said, you compare it to other books. Where did this hit on the scale of other books? So for me, this was a 4, a solid 4. It was a great book. I think for me, the start of it, like I said, it took me a little bit to warm into it. And actually start. I only really started loving it towards the end. But having said that, I mean, 4 is still a high score. So there we have it. 4 from me, 4.9 from Mr. Fly. Next month's book, we are going to be reading Happy Sexy Millionaire by Stephen Bartlett. Stephen Bartlett does the Diary of a CEO podcast. He's been on Dragon's Den. He's got a book. Why did you pick this book? In fact, we'll talk about it in the next review.
Okay.
But if you want to join us on this book for this month, links in the description box. Have a read, and we will catch you there. Subscribe, like, support the thing, all of the above. Peace.